Okay, well, today we are covering the NFC North. I've got my Justin Fields jersey on, ready to rock with the Bears. So, Joe, without further ado, get us to Chicago.
Do we really want to go to Chicago? I
We
think we
love
could
starting
just.
in Chicago.
All right, guys. So we got a team that went 6-11 last year. We got rid of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, so there's a plus. They also lost Allen Robinson, Akeem Hicks, Blau Nichols, Eddie Goldman, Tashawn Gipson, and Jimmy Graham. So lost some pretty good names there on the team. So this year, enter Ryan Foles and Matt Eberflus. Ryan Poles is currently in the stage where you throw out everything you own and you go to Target. This is the year he just walked through the sliding doors and he saw the $5 and under rack at the front of the store, and he's just doing a bunch of shopping right there. He is not going to move on until 2023. But we did bring Luke Getsy over from the Packers. He will be the offensive coordinator of this team. Eberflus and Getsy both have connections to the Shanahan coaching tree, which runs a lot of West Coast offense. So there's going to be a lot of designed rollouts, bootlegs, RPOs, power or zone running in this offense. And this is important for several reasons. And most importantly is Justin Fields. He is currently going at QB 16. Justin Fields was PFF's highest graded passer on throws outside of the pocket last year. He was also extremely efficient with his legs. And on top of this, he ranked 5th last year in deep ball accuracy. If this line can keep him upright, which I don't know, it's a really bad offensive line, I expect him to take a pretty big step this year, though, in developing into a franchise quarterback. He's a great buy low in Dynasty, especially if he starts this year off slow, which I do expect him to. So, week 3, week 4, Bears aren't looking too good. Float out a couple trades. I'm sure you might get a bite there. The run game, we already talked about the line being bad. It's bad. I mean, we got a 5th round rookie projected to start this year. Tevin Jenkins didn't come about. So I'm not expecting much here. But David Montgomery is your RB20 in underdog ADP right now. The running game should be the focal point of this offense. The Bears also brought in Kerry Blasingame from Tennessee and will now feature a fullback on this offense very consistently. This should help the line open up holes for Monty. And Matt Nagy really didn't know how to use this guy last year, but I do see brighter days ahead for him. I am going to ruffle some feathers and say that he is not a very efficient running back, and the line is not going to help him here. So he ranks pretty average in every statistical category. Guys, I'm low on David Montgomery this year. I got to say, I am not excited about him.
I think he's the new Chris Carson, honestly.
I do too. It's kind of worse than Chris Carson, honestly.
I don't know, that 800,000 yards, 867 touchdowns. I feel like it's very Chris Carson-y. Like you're not getting the 1,200 yard games. He does have a little bit of pass catching prowess, although they kind of refuse to use him in that game. But I think at this point with Cohen officially gone, I think there might be a little more designed passes for Montgomery.
Yeah, I do too. But the one guy I am excited about is Khalil Herbert. He is going at RB51, so he is not much of a cost for you right now. But he is an Energizer bunny. He just keeps moving. He is always pumping his legs and getting extra yards. I really see him cutting into Montgomery's work this year, especially as the regime has no ties to Montgomery. So also the Shanahan scheme also features multiple backs pretty frequently. I mean, think of San Francisco, think of Washington back in the day, think of what the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers and A.J. Dillon last year. I think we're going to see a hot hand approach to this running game, and a 60-40 or better in Herbert's terms is not out of the realm of possibility here. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry and 133 scrimmage yards against Tampa Bay last year, and then followed that up with 5.1 yards per carry against the Packers front when Montgomery was hurt. So I kind of love buying Khalil Herbert right now. What do you guys feel about the running backs?
I feel like Herbert's a steal in all leagues. It's one of those guys that it's not the sexy pick, and he's not going with the Madisons and whatnot, but this is a great running back who is going to have the starting job sooner rather than later. And you never know if that's this season, whether there's an injury or Monty just doesn't perform. So, I mean, I love grabbing guys, especially the second year running backs or just players in general. They've gotten a couple games under their feet. Like you said, he did really well during that 2-3 game stretch when Montgomery was out. A couple 100-yard games, and not really the touchdown guy as of yet, but he was a rookie. They gave him what he could, and he did fine with the workload. Like you said, 5 point average for your rush. I mean, that's what you want.
I do like Herbert. I would maybe caution maybe dynasty players, maybe don't fall in love. I think that they could be very much headed to the draft next year for a potential franchise running back. And I maybe wouldn't be trading the house for Khalil Herbert, but if you can get him cheap in dynasty, probably the way to go. But as far as redraft this year, which is what we're mainly talking about, yes, I think Khalil Herbert is a major steal, especially if you can, as late as you can get him. I would definitely take a shot on him.
I don't want to hate on my boy Montgomery. I know I'm shocked that you did as much. I want to talk about him for a second before we get off the running backs. This man is a great runner. He's been on a team, especially last year, like that 850. I think that easily could have been 1,000 if this team didn't suck. So I'm not saying.
Plus he was injured, so
yeah, he missed a few games, but at the same time, this team was bad last year, so there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity. He had 240 the first 2 years. His rookie year was phenomenal. His second year, don't look at this year as he's done kind of thing, which he really isn't. He's going to another team if he's off the Bears next year, and he'll probably be very Chris Carson-y, that 1,000-yard mark with 8 touchdowns. But as you see, there were some pass catches in there. In 2020, he was number 4, number 6 running back, and that's still possible. It's just not as likely. So I wouldn't reach on Montgomery, but at his current ADP, I'd grab him.
Yeah, he's not a bad asset to have on your team.
You don't want him as your RB1. Let's put it that way.
Right. I'm wary because I just don't think he's going to be the featured, under Nagy and Pace, he was getting most of the carries there. Cohen didn't really step in much, and we didn't see Herbert until Montgomery was injured. But I don't know. Just worries me a little bit on him.
Joe, is Darrington Evans on the IR yet, or are they?
No, he's not. But I do want to talk about Trestan Ebner a little bit. He is he was a wide receiver in college. He switched over here, and he's probably going to pick up a little bit of what we saw Tariq Cohen do back in the day. He's a good pass catcher, so it's a name to keep an eye on. You're not drafting him at all, but might be fun to watch this year.
Fun fact: in our dynasty league, someone did grab him in that draft that we had. Light skin Leb. Good for you, man.
Oh no. So anyway, this team's not very exciting. So I'm gonna fire through. Really, you got Darnell Mooney. He's going at wide receiver 28 right now, which is kind of ridiculous. I think the lone bright spot in this whole skill group of players for the Bears. He continues to get it done with the rest of the offense doing little to help him. He's still got 1,000 yards for the first time. And I see an even bigger jump this year. He's got another year under his belt with Fields. I could see Mooney finishing as a top 12 receiver this year if everything goes right. So that price at wide receiver 28, I am buying it, and I would draft him, honestly, a little bit earlier than that one. Mooney to the moon. Moon Man.
Moon Man.
So before you get into these other guys, because there's no one you really want to talk about in particular, I have a little thing to say. Yeah, so I love the Bears' strategy here. So they have Mooney. They know they have a bona fide star here. They'll probably add in the draft or free agency next year as well to kind of help out Justin Fields a little bit. But I like what they did. Like I take some shots on some players who didn't get it done their first couple of years. They're all young guys. Quinn St. Brown. He is the brother of the sun god, who we'll get into here shortly. Byron Pringle was on the Chiefs, N'Keal Harry on the Patriots, and then Taji Sharp for Atlanta? ? So like I like the idea because and then Velus Jones in the draft. So there are some people there, and who knows what it's going to be. I'm not excited about them in Dynasty. I'm worth taking a shot and rostering one of these guys, but in redraft, they're not on my radar. But I put them on my watch list. You never know who's going to pop off as that number 2, and I think they all have at least decent talent. It's better than your wide receiver room last year, and even with Allen Robinson.
No, I think going into the season, Byron Pringle's your wide receiver 2. He actually had a decent year filling in last year as a de facto wide receiver 2 for the Chiefs. Again, I like this pickup for the Bears. If he sees a similar workload or a bump, he's definitely valuable at his current price of wide receiver 97. So, I mean, you could be getting a guy that's, going to give you 600-700 yards, a couple of touchdowns there. Not a bad price for him. Before I go, I want to talk about Velus Jones, but before I do that, I want to talk about N'Keal Harry. If he does anything, we will be happy and we will take that. We are not drafting him. The Bears traded a 7th-round pick for an advanced scouting of N'Keal Harry. he may not even make this roster. So I don't know. I'm not too excited about that. He does bring something the Bears do not have, and that is a size receiver. I mean, Darnell Mooney upped his weight this year to a real solid 178. So, I mean, he gives you a big guy. He could do something. Don't draft him until he shows you otherwise. And then Velus Jones, I'm actually pretty excited to see what he can do. Yeah, he's an older rookie, but he's quick. He's shifty. He's been making plays all offseason. So he's not a bad dynasty stash. I've got him in a couple leagues, and I'm really excited to see what he can do, especially with Justin Fields' deep ball accuracy on that. I mean, do you guys like Equiminius St. Brown?
No, I feel like him and N'Keal Harry are both in the same boat. Haven't done anything to prove that they're worth drafting or anything, but I like it for depth for the team because I feel like that's something they missed out on last year. There really wasn't a true wide receiver 3. I feel like Goodwin was there for a couple plays here and there, and then Robinson was barely a wide receiver 2 at that point. I don't even think he really played the year, which was a disappointment. But I think I like the idea of it. I mean, you're not looking for anything huge here. You're paying them a little bit of money, and maybe they make the roster next year. Maybe it's all just a bunch of scraps that they toss aside afterwards. I'm just saying, I'm not saying the Bears are going to go in the division or anything, but I think that these pieces here give them a chance to at least be competitive. And who knows which one will hit, but like you said, it's probably Pringle, but it could be N'Keal Harry. Maybe he needs a change of scenery. I'm not banking on it, but I'm saying it's possible.
I don't think people should draft him. I would leave him off my team for sure.
I don't think anyone's arguing that, Joe.
No, but he's a guy that was a first round pick, and when people see they're traded, people like talking about that and maybe even be drafting him.
I immediately went to the stats and was like, look, 200, don't stop.
Yeah. No, don't get N'Keal Harry. But no, honestly, they're just, if one of these guys hits outside of Mooney, you've got a good piece. I think next year they're going to have well over $100 million in cap space. So next year is where you're going to see an offense being built here. But you do have Cole Kmet. We can't not talk about him. He is tight end 13, and this is it. This is the breakout. Tight ends are featured heavily in this offensive scheme, and we should finally see him take the next step. I really like him where he's at right now. So I know we've been saying this for years, but I do think this is the year.
Hey, 600 yards is nothing to scoff at for a tight end, though, either. Yeah, the touchdowns weren't there, and the receptions could have been more. But like you said, there's no wide receiver 2 on this team. So there'll be plenty of people.
They finally got rid of Jimmy, the red zone reindeer Graham. I thought that was Kyle Rudolph's name, but he took it from him.
No, I'm happy that Cole Kmet might finally get to break out. Matt Nagy being there, I feel like is, going to help a lot of people on this team.
Yeah. It's weird that Jimmy Graham had a Jerome Bettis stat line, like 1 catch for 1 yard and 1 touchdown, or 2 catches for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Fantasy disaster.
Yeah.
They really well. I actually played him 1 week, I think, last year in a tight end desperate situation. Didn't get the touchdown.
Man, that's sad.
That was very desperate.
I was desperate, man, but I was like 6 points or 2 points. The person I think I played would have gotten an extra point, and I still would have lost. So,
yeah,
fair enough.
Happens to the best of us.
Okay, Joe, you want to get the defense?
I do want to get to the defense because I'm actually pretty excited about the defense this year. Defensive coordinator for the Colts last year, now the head coach of the Bears, Matt Eberflus, comes over, and we will see a lot of the same principles that he did in Indy. We saw the success that defense had, and I am very excited about the defense this year. Low key, very excited. I shouldn't put an exclamation mark on that. But starting off, you got Roquan Smith. He's an LB1. He is the LB1 if you're in an IDP draft. Don't even try to talk me out of that. He is always disrespected. 163 tackles last year, 3 sacks and a pick. Now he gets Eberflus, who will always have him around the ball. So I love Roquan this year. Pay the man. I don't understand why we're not doing that right now, because you're going to lead to a situation like Robert Quinn, who is holding out currently. He had 18.5 sacks last year. If they can settle this, he's going super late in IDP drafts. He's essentially free. I don't think he's getting 18.5 because that was a franchise record last year, but he could be pretty damn productive. On the other side, we got Trevis Gipson. This is my breakout guy here. He had 7 sacks last year filling in for Khalil Mack, and now he gets to start in a scheme that better fits his skills. Buy him now in Dynasty. Don't look back. You can probably get him off the waiver wire right now. I've seen him there a couple places on that one. Guys, go get Trevis Gipson, please. I'm begging you. We got Nicholas Morrow. So Bobby Okie Dokie, because I can't say his name, had 132 tackles playing this role in Eberflus's defense last year. Nicholas Morrow is a smaller, more hybrid linebacker that I see getting a ton of opportunities for splash plays. So take him now and thank me later. Jaquan Brisker, safety in the second round. Rookie out of Penn State. He will be asked to do a ton right away. He is a monster in the box. He's a hard-hitting safety with a knack for interceptions. He is your strong safety on this team. He's probably my number one rookie safety this year that I'm very excited about getting. And then we got Eddie Jackson. He had success in 2018 in this free safety role. He's moving back to that, but I would not hold my breath on him repeating. Trade him, put him on the waiver wire. Don't get too excited about him.
I think Eddie Jackson's one of those sneaky, like, late rounder safeties I wouldn't be upset about getting. 70 tackles isn't great, but I think he's a good fill-in. A bye week player might be able to recapture that interception form that he had a few years back, but kind of hoping for one of the forced fumble, interception, touchdown kind of situation. But I think even his like 5-6 tackles, I'm not excited about it, but I'm not like scoffing at 9 points during a fill-in role.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm definitely on Brisker this year. Kyle Hamilton went to an unfortunate fantasy situation in Baltimore, but so I just think that leaves Brisker with the best opportunity. Maybe somebody could argue for Dax Hill in Cincinnati, but I think that Brisker's probably got the best shot to fulfill all, as a rookie, the amount of points that you need to make him a part of your team.
Yeah.